Hello, everyone. My name is Lori Bradner with the Florida Aviation Network. We welcome you to the 40th celebration of Sun and Fun. Unfortunately, today is the last day as we wrap up the week of Sun and Fun, but you just never know who you're going to meet on the street during the air show. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct honor and pleasure. I thought my day could not get any better, and it just has, sir. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you, this is Colonel Abner Aust, Jr. He was the last one, I'm reading from your sign, the last pilot. You became a World War II flying ace. Is that correct, Colonel? Correct. Well, we welcome you to Sun and Fun. And how many years have you been coming here? I heard there was quite a few years.
I came to the first one, I think, in 1973 or 74, and then I came a couple of years ago. This is the third time I've been.
Third time.
Yes.
Now, we had an opportunity to speak earlier, and you were telling some stories, and you had an opportunity to meet Lights Leanhouse, the Commander-in-Chief of Sun and Fun, and you were telling me that you actually, you've got a long history of this airfield. Would you care to share with those that are watching live the history? Because this wasn't always just Sun and Fun, was it?
No, it was not. We activated the 506 Fighter Group here at Lakeland in October 1944, flying P-51s. We flew A, B, C's, D's, and K's. And we went from here, we left here in January. I went with the air echelon to Guam. We went to California, loaded up 75 brand new P-51s on a carrier, small carrier, and went to Guam. Stopped at Hawaii for one night. Then I ended up in Tinian because they were fighting the battle for Iwo. That was our destination. But we flew off of an old Jap fighter strip on Tinian. We flew some missions against Chichijima and other Japanese-held islands during that time. I ended up on Iwo Jima when we got 2,500 feet of runway.
Now, Colonel, you had mentioned, I didn't mean to interrupt you, what a wonderful piece of history, but you also mentioned that, and I'm sure you're aware of the Heritage Flight, and I believe we were just told that a P-51 is going to be flying with the F-22 Raptor that is here, and we had an opportunity to speak with the Raptor team. But you've also flown, tell me the other jets that you've flown, because you have, I know when you were talking to Lights, I was eavesdropping, yeah. Colonel, and I heard that you've flown quite a few.
Well, during World War II, I flew all of the fighters except the P-38, the P-39, P-40. I was in first class in Luke Field to fly P-40s in advance. Then I flew P-47s, again the P-40, then came back to the P-51s here at Lakeland. I started flying jets in Panama in 1947, F-80 jets. And after the war was over, I ended up with a good friend, Pete Everest, that ended up back up for Chuck Yeager on the rocket flight. The two of us were assigned to the fighter test squadron at Wright-Patterson, Wright Air Force Base. I had written a friend down in Panama, and he got me transferred down. I was going out to check out in the P-59, and they stopped me and said, "We got orders for you to go to Panama." So I ended up down there flying P-47Ns, and then we got jets, a second fighter group in the Air Force, to get F-80s. Wow. And I flew that there. We moved to Germany from there and supported the Berlin airlift out of Fürstenfeldbruck, Germany. Our wing commander, General Spicer, said that myself and 5 other guys were due to go home about the time we went to Germany. He said, "If you'll stay, I'll get you home in December." We went to Bremerhaven and got on a ship, and that's the rough crossing I've ever seen. We had a bunch of rocket scientists on a boat with us, and for about 3 days, 2 days, we made 50 knots headway on the ocean. It was so rough. Myself and Pete Fernandez, World War ace in Korea, were the only 2 guys in the mess hall for about 3 days because everybody else was sick. When you went to bed at night, you had to tie yourself in bed. The water was so rough. The captain of the ship wouldn't even let his crew out on deck. It was so bad.
Wow.
And it took 18 days to make a 12-day trip.
Now, Colonel, I have a question for you. Obviously, with the Florida, with Sun and Fun, with the air shows, there are many, many individuals that have military backgrounds like yourself, but we also cater to the young people and young families. And obviously, it is an honor to be named a World War II an ace. Can you, for those of us that may not know, and some of those that may not have a military background, what does that really mean? When you say World War II ace, I know that is an honor. My father actually served in the military, but would you be willing to impart what that means and what it meant to you?
Yes. Well, let's begin with this. During World War I, II, Korea, and Vietnam, there was 1,442 American fighter aces. To be an ace, you had to shoot down 5 airplanes in the air, 5 enemy airplanes in the air. Right today, the American Fighters Aces formed an association. They have a reunion every year. I went to the one in Orlando several years ago, then San Diego. Last year they had it in Seattle. This year it'll be in San Antonio. And we're going to that. There's only about 109 of those 1,442 left living. I ask God, let me be the last one.
Well, I certainly hope so. And I have to ask you, now you are extraordinarily handsome, sir, but I am looking at this picture that I have to show the camera. Can you tell us a little bit, who is this handsome guy that I'm looking at that obviously, can you tell us about that picture there?
Yes, this is me, Abner M. Aust, Jr. This was taken in Vietnam in 1968 at Tui Wa, the best base in Vietnam. I was commander of the 31st TAC Fighter Wing, and these indicate the number of squadrons. I had the biggest fighter outfit in Vietnam, 5 fighter squadrons, and that's our color.
Wow.
I had this suit made in 1968 in Ubon, Thailand, and it still fits me, and I wear it to most of these things.
How many of us could say that? That is fabulous.
Well, when I retired from the Air Force, I weighed about 150 pounds. Last night, I weighed 135. And I've gotten down to the weight I like, and it still fits me, and I wear it to a lot of these different things. But to become a fighter ace, you had to shoot down 5 airplanes in the air. You had to have gun camera to support that, showing that you did. The first time I ran into Japanese airplanes, I had good eyesight. I had 20/10 vision, which was good for a fighter pilot. You could see airplanes before anybody else did, so that gave you a chance to get in position.
Right.
I spotted 6 Japs coming head on, and it always briefed us, don't go head on with a Jap because he'll run into you. But I picked out the leader, and at this time of the war, they probably didn't have much skill except the leader. So I picked him out, and I shot him down. In the next 2 or 3 minutes, I shot down 2 more, and then before it was all over, I shot all 6 of them, and the last one, going down in the clouds, he was smoking. I probably could have claimed him, but I didn't. But anyway, I pulled up out of the clouds, and when I called for it, we normally dropped our fuel tanks when we ran into something like that or when they ran dry.
Okay.
We had a 98-gallon fuel tank right behind the cockpit. And the last airplane I was chasing, I was getting hits on him. I looked back over my right shoulder, there's another P-51, yellow tail up there. Well, he was shooting at the same guy I was, but he was hitting me. And I looked out on the wing. One of my tanks wouldn't come off, but when he hit that wing, the tank dropped off. I had about 10 or 12 holes in the one. It knocked out one of my guns and the compass. And when I got back to EWO, right behind the cockpit was that tank, and about 2 inches behind that was a hole about that big around where all those bullets went through the fuselage. So I went over to the 462nd because I knew it was the one of them, but nobody had any gun camera film. So I told them, you guys better be careful because you're walking on dangerous ground when you fool with me.
Well, I tell you what, Colonel, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you here today, and I want to say thank you for your time. And I always have to, one of the things at the Florida Aviation Network, we are always looking to inspire the next generation of pilots and those that are willing to serve in our U.S. military and serve our country. And I would be remiss if I did not ask if you had any words of wisdom that you could impart to students of all ages and the people that are out there watching, because obviously the young people are our future. And is there anything that you would say to them based on your experiences, words of wisdom that you would give them as we close?
I would say go into the Air Force, because you can learn more different things there than you will in the Army or will probably in the Navy. You have a better chance. You're not always on the front lines getting shot at, but I would say if you get out, you've learned something in there you can use outside. And I think that's the best place to go myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Colonel, my father served actually in Korea and served in the U.S. Air Force, so it is an honor and a pleasure to have you here. This is Lori Bradner. We're broadcasting live from Show Central with the Florida Aviation Network. Colonel, I have to tell you, it is my honor, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you. Enjoy it.
Thank you.